earth and ocean were probably peopled with vegetable productions long before the existence of animals, and many families of these animals long before other families of them, shall we conjecture that one and the same kind of living filaments is and has been the cause of all organic life? This was an extraordinarily perceptive question to ask in 1794, and the use of the term filament is particularly suggestive, as though he was already intuitively aware of the physical form of the chromosome and capable of leapfrogging over the work of his grandson, Charles Darwin, into the age of genetics. Erasmus Darwin was an extraordinary polymath, an instinctive inventor of mechanical gadgets, and a man who had theories and ideas about everything. Large and handsome, though also clumsy and accident-prone, he was hugely attractive to women, and took full advantage of the fact. 2 of his illegitimate children, both clever girls, he set up in a school, and then wrote them a treatise, A Plan for the Conduct of Female Education in Boarding Schools, 1797, which is full of sound advice, valid today. He was accused of skepticism in his talk, which was jocose, cynical, and rough, but he wrote, Dull atheist, could a giddy dance of atoms lawless hurled construct so wonderful, so nice, so harmonized a world? Twice married, he had 3 sons by his first wife. The eldest became a brilliant medical student at Edinburgh, but died from an infection received while dissecting. The second was a flourishing solicitor, but committed suicide. The third also went to Edinburgh, qualified as a doctor, and practiced at Shrewsbury, becoming in due course one of the wealthiest general practitioners in England, a man famous in learned circles and a Fellow of the Royal Society. He was also the father of Charles Darwin. By his second wife, Erasmus had 4 sons and 3 daughters, one of whom, Violetta, married Tertius Galton, and gave birth to Francis Galton, another polymath of genius, who created the science of eugenics. Whether Erasmus's doctor son, father of Charles, was a genius is a matter of opinion, but he was certainly remarkable. There seem to be 2 types of genius, the purely cerebral and the intuitive cerebral, Galileo being an example of the first and Newton of the second. In his superb essay on Newton, J.M. Keynes, another genius, pointed out that Newton always took a major step forward by an intuitive leap, but then held his discovery tightly by his strong intellectual muscle power until in due course, satisfied by its veracity, he proceeded to prove it by reason. Darwin's father, Dr. Robert Darwin, was a man of powerful intellect, clearly, but the force of his medical skill arose from his intuitive penetration, which was essentially visual and observational, though aided by the cunning questions he put. One imagines he resembled Dr. Joseph Bell, the famous surgeon, under whom Arthur Conan Doyle worked in Edinburgh, and on whom he based his character Sherlock Holmes. In his autobiographical writings, Charles Darwin gives a striking portrait of his father, dwelling lingeringly, even a little enviously, on his intuitive gifts. Robert Darwin was an immensely hard worker, labouring long hours in his surgery and on his rounds, but he didn't seek greatly to enlarge his professional knowledge. His genius lay in immediate, physical contact with the patient, on first diagnosis, on visits, and at every point in the course of the condition. He looked into and through his patients, and seems to have inspired in them, almost without exception, a confidence in his capacity to cure them that was nearly miraculous. He was huge, 6'2", and correspondingly big in bone and brawn. The largest man I ever saw, wrote his son. But his voice was high-pitched. Robert Darwin initially disliked medicine intensely, and told his son he would never have practiced it if he could have got an income any other way. But after completing his studies at Leiden,